Hi there, welcome to my video. When I say my video, I quite literally mean my video for back pain. So what I do for me when I'm feeling a little sticky in my SI joint, or if this hasn't happened in a while, but if my sciatica pops up from time to time, or if the low back in general just feels kind of tight and funky. So by showing you these different versions of spinal twists, know that not all spinal twists are good for everyone, and that sometimes not doing them at all is what you need. So there is a disclaimer. Just realize this is not a diagnosis. I'm not a physical therapist. I'm not prescribing anything. But maybe what I do for me can help you. The other thing about spinal twists is because a lot of times when we do any type of twisting in the trunk or the legs, we're generally doing it in a way that's not terribly mindful. So we're reaching back behind us for something in the back seat, or to placate a child, or we're at the supermarket and the cart's behind us and we're grabbing something and putting it behind us, or and so a lot of times we're not moving in this transverse plane. A lot of exercise, typical exercise, is forward and backward, running, sitting, doing your work on the computer. So if you spend any time slouching, or if you don't spend much time doing mindful twists in the shoulders or the upper trunk area, or even down in the lower area, this is really, really good for people that sit around, wait around, drive too much, spend a lot of time in planes, anybody that spends their time in a state of perpetual mindless flexion. Okay, so let's get started. The first twist is going to be more of the typical twist that you find in a yoga class, and it's going to involve cross legs. Cross legs isn't for everyone all the time, so there's a couple of things that we can do. When we come down for cross legs, some people need to cross their legs with an object in between. The more the legs cross into the midline, the more spreading of the SI area, or sometimes the more unstableness, depending on the person we're talking about. For me, I don't need a blanket, but you can certainly give that a try. So we're crossing the right leg over the left. The blanket's going to come in handy in a moment too. For the shoulders, I'll show you how. So I'm laying on my back. I'm going to scoot my bum over about 3 or 4 inches to the right. Not everyone has to do this, but it's a thing you can try. The legs are going to come to the left. Now, this is a place where, especially if you don't do this a lot, or you're nursing an injury and a certain range of motion feels good but going too far doesn't, this is where props are going to come in. So what we have here is a blanket or bolster or pillow or a set of blocks or anything. I mean, it could be soup cans and books. You'll see this better on the other side, no worries. We'll get there. But I'm going to stick a blanket under here so my legs don't go as far. So that works for me. As you can see, the opposite shoulder from the direction I'm twisting is flat, but this won't be true for everyone. And so this is where you might require the blanket here instead, or in addition to. You want to try to get a nice flatness, unless you enjoy having the arm hanging out in space. I'm not sure I would default to that for a long hold. So you could be here a while, because over time, certain things are going to unravel. And if you don't feel a whole lot going on when you first get into it, just give yourself time. With the legs crossed, the inner thighs tend to want to hold on and squeeze into each other. And so you have to start to learn to let go of that, to let go of anything going on in any of these muscles around the side, the glute medius, or even back where the deeper internal muscles there. So this, I find, helps really well for if you have some sciatic pain. It's able to stretch the muscles that may or may not be pressing into the nerve without stretching the actual nerve itself, which is really something you don't want to exacerbate that sort of nerve pain. This is also going to target muscles, like I said, in the glutes, here in the low back area. You might even get a little bit in the QL, And some of you might get it in the outer leg, especially if you're a runner. Okay? Again, you'll see this better on the other side, but for the last minute, I'm going to extend. I'm going to bring the right knee up higher and extend it out. This allows the left leg to go all the way down or to press more deeply on my prop if I had one there. And it gets more deeply into the outer leg. Now notice I'm going to move the pelvic half here. This is where this angle works really well. So it's like my whole butt cheek is moving back a little bit and then down a little bit. So it's like I'm taking this pelvic half and I'm pressing it down. This feels good for me. It may not feel great for everyone, so just kind of remember here that you've got to manage your body and not just follow along blindly. And then when I come in from any extended leg position, which you may decide that you wanted to skip, I always bring the leg in first, and I'll come to the other side. Now you can do a little bit of shaking. Some people like that. This is not my favorite, so I'm not going to do it, but some people will shake for a good 10-15 seconds, just a little bit of thumping on the back of the spine. Okay, so from here, I'm going to try to make my body more straight. Cross the left leg over the right, take the hips over to the left a few inches and let the legs come out to the right. So now you can see what my legs are doing. If I were to prop them, again, I have a bolster too, which is much higher. Some people do need the high prop. That's okay. You can prop them here. If you're left in this indication, left shoulder was a little high, what it would look like is you would have this arm, you can kind of see it, this arm would hang up, and a lot of times people are left in this position of perpetual like shoulder shrugging, and that's where that, a bolster, a pillow, or something behind the shoulder can help create that ability for the upper arm and the shoulder blade to relax. So just like with anything you're doing, you need to breathe. So finding a nice natural rhythm, using the nose as much as possible is important. I'm not going to go through that right now, but you're welcome to do your own research as to the difference between breathing through your nose and breathing through your mouth. And then if you wanted to extend the leg, or even over time, maybe that prop comes out, whether that means over time in real time, like that day, or over a few days or weeks of doing this, and it might never happen. And if you extend that leg, like I'm doing here, you might get outer leg hamstring stretch. Cyclists and runners will generally feel this so much to the point where they probably shouldn't keep the leg straight for very long, unless they do this a lot. And then I'm moving the pelvic half back and down a little bit, so you can sort of take the thumb and press it down, and that's just getting more stretching up here. I can feel things going on in the glute medius. I didn't feel this on the other side, so you're going to probably experience things where one side invites certain sensations and the other one does or doesn't. So be aware that that doesn't mean something's wrong. It's pretty normal. Bringing the knees in, coming out, and before we do the other couple of sides, let's take a nice neutral position. I'm going to take knees knocked in and feet are out. If the knees don't touch, but you want them to, take a prop in between the knees. Blanket, block, whatever, a book. And I'm just going to rock a little bit here. Good. All right, so another common spinal twist is with the legs together. And this is where you may actually want to put a block or something in between, okay? I'm going to turn a little bit here. I'm going to have a slightly different angle just to see a couple of different things. All right, so with knees together, it's going to encourage more of a stretch in the middle of the spine. And we'll organize the legs in such a way that it changes where you feel the sensation. Sorry. I had to cough. Okay. So from here, I'm going to take the legs to the left. So I scooted the hips over a little bit. And my knees are going to stay together because I happen to have that mobility in my spine. Some people's knees will not stay together. There'll be this little bit of asymmetry. This is where having something in the middle of the legs really helps. So I'm going to reconnoiter myself. Take it here. Ah, that's better. Good. Now, the closer my knees come into my chest and I'm using my hand to grab, the more you're going to get stuff going on higher in the spine. And this can be a place that's difficult to get any stretching sensation in. Same goes for the shoulder. You may prop something underneath. And we didn't do this on the other twist, but you may look in the direction of the twist of the legs or in the opposite direction. In traditional yoga, you're asked to look in the opposite direction, but there are certainly benefits for both ways. And again, like I said, the more you crawl into a ball, the more that stretch rises up to the point now where I'm actually feeling it right about the mid-thoracic and right about where the shoulder blades are resting next to the spine. I could stay here longer, and you're welcome to pause the video, but we're going to take it to the other side so you can kind of see. This is a different angle, and actually I'm going to pop over here. So an alternate thing you can do with the shoulder is you can take a cactus shape in the arm, and that can help encourage the shoulder blade down. But one thing I like to do is make a little wing here. So I'll take the fingertips to the shoulder and then reach the wing, which the point of your wing is your elbow, to the sky, and then make a few circles. So feel free to add this to anything that you're doing. And then some people with a little more opening, a little bit more ability to stretch the muscles here, can take that opposite arm of the direction of the legs, extend it up and overhead. Right, so you can see that. Good. And as you continue to breathe here, again, the closer the knees come, you can use your other hand to help hold the legs in place. Now I can feel the sensation start to move up. And remember, when you're stretching, it's not so much that you're stretching the muscles as you're getting them to relax. So the breathing is important. So if you're gritting your teeth and you're doing anything that implies that you're stressed out or you're pushing through something, the benefit is going to be very short-lived and potentially damaging over time. So if you want the muscles to relax, the nervous system has to relax too. So anytime you're breathing through the nose, that will help. Anytime you're extending your exhale longer than your inhale, that's another help. And there's other tells in your body that you're stressed, like clenching your jaw, teeth crunched together. Stuff like that would be a bad idea if you want to relax. So relax the jaw, move around a little bit. Sure the teeth are apart. Don't be clenching the butt muscles. That's another very common one. And also holding the belly in and not letting the natural shape change of the breath change the shape of the abdominal cavity. Even though you can't breathe literally into your belly, you can pretend like your lungs extend down to the sits bones if you want, and just let the abdominal cavity open up. It's supposed to when you inhale. All right, friends. That was a long one, but I needed that. Okie dokie. So we're coming here. Here, we're going to do a little wiggle here. And then we want to take, again, another symmetrical pose. And I like to, in this case, do something a bit different. So we're going to do symmetry on the belly to close out. And I'll recommend here that we take a little something. I'm going to sort of match my front hip points into the middle of the mat so I have a little bit of my legs on there too. Okay, so from here, taking a little Sphinx pose. The reason I have the elevation underneath the hips is so my low back doesn't get so much compression. Some people could actually benefit from a little bit more bend in the low back depending on structure and what's going on in general. But this is a good default place. Most people will benefit from this. So from the Sphinx pose, you're welcome to lay flat too. You certainly don't have to do what I'm doing. But I want to turn the toes in and sort of wiggle the heels in and out, in and out, in and out. I'm going to keep the head down for this one. Then I'll bend the legs and let the shins be like little windshield wipers. Alright? I highly recommend that your windshield wipers go at like a drizzle setting and not like torrential downpour setting, unless you want to hurt yourself. And then as you do this, you may find that over time you want to slow it down and start finding the sensations and the spaces in between your max ranges of motion. So a lot of times we're so busy getting to the final destination, which would be this, that we don't really take the time to find the million little pinpoint positions in between. And then from that, you may want to close, taking your hands wide. I will exhale and draw the belly in a little actively here. You might skip this if you don't love arching your spine. I actually find that doing that after spinal twists, I feel a little bit freer. And then if you want to take one more little twist, what I do is I take the fingertips, you can't see, but I've got little tarantula hands, maybe you could see over here, little tarantula hands as I call them, really wide, much wider than my shoulders are. The elbows are going to go up, but then I'm going to slide the shoulder blades down and sort of draw the belly in. So I'm really pulling the belly in, and I lift just enough so I don't feel anything in my back at all. It feels really good in the shoulders. And then I'll twist a little bit. You'll see on the other side that my shoulder goes down too. Again, you could skip this for any number of reasons. But in my opinion, if we're going to twist the lower body, we should twist the upper body to make the upper body the active twister. And this can feel really good for some people and not so great for others. So you've got to make that decision. And the other thing you can do is take little cactus arms. This is a gentler version of it. Find the 90-degree angle-esque shape of the cactus. So you can see I got a form here, the other form's down here. You can see that. Right? You could do all sorts of things. You could lift, just create some motions that feel good in your shoulders. Your range of motion is not mine, and vice versa. Good. And then what you might want to do is end on your belly, if this is okay. Give yourself a couple of minutes, or you can flip around to your back, but give yourself a couple of minutes for the movement and the changes in your body to integrate a little bit. You want to come to a place that's still, it only has to be 1 or 2 minutes, but what you don't want to do is pop right up and start going into your old habits of, whatever you're doing, sitting, hunching over a phone or a computer or all that stuff that we do. Also, remember that this could be a great routine just for preventing stiffness or pain. It's great before and after any long trips, like anytime you travel, plane or car. It's really good to do before and after the trip. Preventative medicine can be the very, very, very best thing that you can do for yourself. All right, I'm going to go take a nap now. So, yeah, have a good one, guys. Thanks for watching.